Hey brother, how are you? So today we're going to be discussing money, moolah, and why it's important. So the topic is being rich is your moral obligation. What do I mean by that? God wants you to be rich. That's a fact. Because when you're broke, you can't be of value to nobody. You're just surviving. You're being selfish. God does not want you to survive. He wants you to thrive. So you can help others. You can build homes. You can give to charity. You can put a smile on somebody's face. You can help people with the experiences that. But you can't do that if you're struggling yourself. So this is why we need to break these limiting beliefs that I personally had to do myself. And once you do that, then abundance comes into your life. Then you get blessed. But it's very important to understand why we grow up and with these things of, oh, being rich is bad. No, it isn't. Being rich is amazing if you do it the right way. That's it. You have to do it the right way. In order for you to be rich, you have to add value. You have to either produce something or do something which people find valuable, and in exchange, they give you money. That is capitalism 101. You're not doing anything shady to get that wealth, right? So, where do these feelings of money is bad comes from? These sentiments that we grew up with? Well, society. Number one, because we grew up with family members who really did not have exposure to wealth. And I may be wrong. That's my experience, right? Like, I grew up very middle class. Thank God, very, very middle class. But luckily, through my work and through my own endeavors, I somewhat had exposure to successful people. And these successful people also happen to be successful financially. So I got a very contrasted view. And one thing I have realized through my own experiences is, dude, I would rather be rich than broke. Because when you are just surviving, you are not living. God does not want you to survive. He wants you to thrive, right? So when you're in that mode, society glorifies struggle. You have a conversation with anyone. What are some of the things they say? Man, I've spent so much money today. I've spent so much money this month. And you're like, okay, like what do you want me to do? That's a you problem. But you hear this day in, day out. And subconsciously you start taking these signals and they become part of your psyche because most people haven't experienced or had exposure to wealthy people. So what does that do? You all of a sudden start having these limiting beliefs that, oh, I'm supposed to struggle. I'm supposed to be feeling, oh, I haven't got enough money for this, that activity, or this activity. What does that do? It puts you in a frame of mind of, oh, struggle is okay. That's what everyone does. So I'm not unusual. I'm just normal. Which is the most ludicrous thing if you think about it. Because you're not meant to be this. You're supposed to be, like Warren Buffett says, be the contrarian. If everyone's going right, go left. Because that's where the biggest difference is. You have to understand that. You can't be the person who is okay struggling because you cannot do anything good. What are you going to do? Just survive? What good are you to society if you're just surviving? If you can only just pay your bills or barely pay your own bills, what use are you to anyone? Think about it, man. But if you have resources, you have the ability to help somebody, to help with their payments, to show your family and friends experiences that they may not necessarily have exposure to. Because of your hard work that you've done, you can help them. So, what is the point? Because being broke is hard, or struggling is hard. So is trying to be rich. But at least if you're trying to be rich, you have a very good chance of being rich, and you can experience life, live life on your terms. So, and don't think, oh, is my need for money bad? No. Money is a great magnifier, as they say. It magnifies your traits. So if you are a bad person, if you're a horrible git, you get money, you'll be a horrible git with money. But if you're a nice, cool dude, you'll be a nice, cool dude with money. It just amplifies your traits. It's very rational. It doesn't care. So if you're good, you'll just amplify that. If you're bad, you'll amplify that. That's it. So be a good person with lots of money. So, number 2, there is no nobility in being broke. There's no nobility in poverty. What's the point? God has created you to thrive. You have been given this brain to use it. You live in one of the greatest times to be wealthy. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Why would you not want to be that person who changes the trajectory, be that person of change in their family tree that says, you know what, I'm going to end this generational curse of being middle class. I want to see what life is like on the other side. That's where I want to go to as well, right? Where you don't have to think of, what's the price tag on this? Oh, I like that car. Maybe I'll get it one day. No, use that. Cool, I've got enough money. Whack you on the card. Happy days, yeah? But the problem is, you cannot help anyone if you're broke. You could have some of the best intentions in the world. Man, you could be amazing. But what amazing can you do? What amazing stuff can you do when you can't even afford to feed yourself? You're not going to be thinking about, oh man, I wish I can just help these millions of people. You can. You absolutely can if you got the resources. If you haven't, then unfortunately, mate, you can only either feed yourself or feed no one. And I also want you to think of scales. If you've got money, right? Christmas time, just say if you want to help with donations, with soup kitchens, you can, when you've got money, you can do 20 of those across the country or 30 of those, and that could be monthly. But what's the point of you saving money up for the whole year to have a little soup kitchen to only affect 5-6 people, whereas you with money can multiply that by thousands? What's more impact? You being wealth gives you scale, gives you resources to do the good stuff that you're supposed to do, make society better. And this is the thing. And you cannot talk about change. You cannot talk about making this world a better place if you're broke, because you have not changed your situation. So what money does is it gives you leverage, it gives you scale, and it's a wonderful thing. Now, I personally have lived both ends. I've been dead broke, and I have had money. Every single time I will choose money. Like, there is no doubt. Money solves your money problem. It doesn't make you happy. But I would rather be that person who gets there when I'm rich. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to, like, how do I say? It's very important for you to put things into perspective. Look, when you don't have anything, when the only thing on your mind is, oh man, I hope I've got enough money in the account. Is this too expensive? And you just watch the labels or you're looking at the price of every item. Dude, that's not living. I've lived that life. I have been that person who used to shop the yellow labels, I reduced stuff, right? But I've also been the person who, by the grace of God, didn't look at labels. Like, all right, cool. Like, I know I've got enough money, I can afford it. I can buy anything I want in that shop, right? And there's levels to it, right? I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm doing okay. That's the moral of the story. So you want to have that perspective. You want to know. You want a life. You want to live. You want a life of freedom that you don't have to worry about. Oh, I need to do this or I'll get fired if I don't show up. Don't, oh, I've got to hang out with this person. I've got to tolerate the BS this person puts in my life. No, man. Money will change your life. For, normally for the better. Normally for the better. You have better access to professionals, i.e., lawyers, type of lawyers, accountants, etc. Your friendships will normally be better because rich people tend to hang out in nicer places. They have seen a lot more of the world and you get better experiences with them. That's facts. And I don't mean to sound like, oh, and I don't mean to sound bad, but that's true. Their experiences are different compared to some of my less well-off friends who I love dearly, but I also know some of the experiences are not my cup of tea. And there's nothing wrong with that. So you also have a moral obligation. God forbid something happens to your parents or your siblings or your loved ones or your or your pets. Dude, you want to be in a position where you can just write a check. What use are you really in this world if you can see somebody struggling and you can't help them? And sometimes all it takes is a check. That's all it takes, man. So the moral of the story is do not let these limiting beliefs before you set off bring you down. Don't hate on money because it will never come to you. If you hate money, it will never come to you. And that is it, plain and simple. So be very careful of what you like, what you tolerate, and celebrate. Number one, when you have stability in your life, life becomes better. But when you have instability due to your finances, it's stressful. I don't want that stress ever again in my life. I want to be in a position where I'm like, dude, it's handled. I'm good. Another thing, in terms of the quality of partner, bro, this is essential, right? If you want a good partner, and I mean somebody who's well-to-do, who has nice experiences, who understands, dude, they would want to see nice things. Don't you want to show your kids nice things? The moral of the story is if you got money, life becomes a lot better, even on a romantic level, because you can afford to do things. And no woman wants a broke guy. Facts. So the quality of the mate that you get when you have money will be better. Point blank simple. So build something in this world that gives back, but also of such value that people can't wait to transact with you. That's ethical capitalism 101. And once you have done that, once you are stable, once you have made your millions, billions, whatever you want, bigger the better, baby, you then have a moral obligation to help others to get there. Like I said, man, each one, teach one. And this is how we become the change. This is how we change society. This is how we change our circle of influence. And we make this world a better place. Because if everyone is rich, if everyone is stable, people will be happier, man. There will be less crime, and people will be much more tolerant and much more open to different experiences in life. So it's our moral obligation, man. And it's once you have money, you can help a lot more people. So don't quit. Be too dumb to quit until you become rich, wealthy, so you can become a positive change in this world that's desperately needed. See ya.